Hello everyone, in this recording I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming full moon in the sign of Leo taking place on the 5th of February in the sign of Leo at 16 degrees and 40 minutes. The major aspect that this full moon is going to be holding is the T-square to Uranus, so this already says a lot of things. Well, Leo usually is the sign associated with courage, with passion, with intensity, truly living the moment. Where a fellow fire sign, Aries, is also very passionate, but it is a sign which comes with the passion of the initiation. And after the initiation, its fire, let's say, stabilizes. Leo, on the other hand, is sparked up and can upkeep that intensity for quite a long time. So, this already says that it can be quite heated. Uranus comes with the unexpected, it comes with the surprise, it comes with perhaps the synchronicity, perhaps the accident. But, you know, it might actually play out as accident, to be totally honest with you. Now, of course, this isn't anything bad or doom and gloom or anything, to be concerned about. Neither can it really be avoided all that much. But in some ways, and of course in some parts of the world, it will definitely play out as accident. Because Leo has to do with risk. Aquarius has to do with that which we can rely upon, the stability of our foresight, health and safety and stuff like that. We must not forget that Aquarius is ultimately a Uranian sign. So the ruling planet Uranus conversing with the sun in Aquarius, its own sign. So yeah, it is going to be quite intense. And the sun opposing his own home sign of Leo. So this is where the sun is cornered, so to speak. And the sun can represent our identity, our awareness, the light of our consciousness, the light of our perceptions, which of course we also project onto our world and Aquarius, everyone and everything around us. So it's a bit stressed out, it's a bit cornered, so this amplifies the chance of the element of surprise. Why? Well, the sun, did not see this coming. So of course that means the moon is very much surprised as well. Because even though the moon has a slight chance to see it coming, because after all, it's intuition. And sometimes the moon in Leo, the heart just feels, and that's a different kind of knowledge, if you know what I mean. It is a dimension of perception and foresight, but only those who are quite familiar with the dimension of the heart, feelings, emotion, but of course the Leo type of expression of this, the creativity, the immersion into whatever the present holds, the passion, the sacred passion, so to speak, that makes it, all that much intense. So this will be quite a powerful, surprising energy, one way or another, in at least one area of life, where the 16 degrees and 40 minutes of Leo falls into your chart, but collectively as well, because let's not forget, this is also collective energy with Aquarius. So whatever happens to the individual reverberates within the collective. And on the other hand, Leo can be quite a public energy, the sign of royalty, kings, noble nobility, stars, those who shine, those who are in the spotlight. So this also represents something quite public. So I imagine that one play out of this energy is where something shocks us, surprises us, unexpected news about celebrities, bigger politicians like heads of state, kings, royal families, VIPs, either in a large scale or small scale in our local community, in our city, town, country. So this is definitely one of the ways it will play out. And let's not forget that um, Uranus and Aquarius are two energies associated with the internet. So viral, something goes viral, something shocks, something spreads like wildfire. This is but on the other hand, let's look at Uranus in Taurus, so financial instability. It can be a financial energy, value energy that already says a lot. And it affects collectively, because the sun in Aquarius. Maybe the surprise element or the greater discomfort comes into our lives from the collective. And it sparks up the moon in Leo, like how we feel about it. We don't feel okay. If I am definitely not saying it's the events of 2020, where lockdown. Not, absolutely not. But maybe something similar where it's not necessarily physical lockdown, but maybe censorship on the internet. You're not allowed to type this or that, or something like copyright issues. And Jupiter in the sign of Aries, even though it doesn't converse, directly with the full moon, action for justice, So this is where some people, companies, artists, etc. says, well, I had enough with people using my work just like that. I'm gonna do something about it. So yeah, and this comes as a shock, for example. But at the other hand, accidents of other kind where it's public, something blows up, earth movement, something collapses, Uranus shakes it up, shakes the foundations up, Taurus is stability, so something that always used to be stable, or give the illusion of stability, because that is also the theme of this, but not necessarily hand in hand with the full moon. I'll get to this in a second. Anyway, so the full moon and Uranus. So it shakes up the foundation. So something collapses. And the other thing, and this is, I must say, not my original epiphany. So, I watch Pam Gregory. I'm a huge fan of hers. And she always associates this 16 degrees of whatever, in this case Leo and Aquarius, with the Tower in Tarot. Now, when I first heard this, I said, yeah, it does make sense, but I didn't give it all that much attention. But the Tower card has been kind of showing itself a lot in any kind of readings. When it's someone else, like a person who you're doing the reading for, and many people have the Tower at the same time, you can imagine that that already to the reader, to me, says that, okay, something is preparing. And that also means that chances are it will happen collectively as well. There will be a Tower moment. What it is, how it will play out, we are yet to see, because Uranus is full of surprises, and anticipating how a Uranus square will affect is silly. It cannot be done. Another astrologer, Nadia Shah, as she always says, whatever you think might happen with Uranus, it will definitely not be that. So it's unthinkable, unfathomable. But something that is a bit fathomable is, like, for example, protests, strikes, uprising, blockages, public revolt, public shock. So how it will play out, that's the surprise. But this, I do believe, somewhere in some parts of the world will definitely be part of the picture, and it will be really, really heated and sparked up. There will definitely be a ringleader. Why? Leo, the leader of the heart, the fervor, and Uranus, Uranus comes with the outsider, the outcast, the rebel, who of course becomes the leader of other rebels. And Aquarius, well, the French Revolution. So, Aquarius has revolution and uprising and this sort of energy written all over it. The opposite as well, because we must not forget it's partially a Saturnian sign as well. The opposite as well, but this as well. The two waves. Aquarius is one of the most beautiful signs that works so very well with dichotomy. So it's much better than Gemini, for example, because Gemini is quite an Aquarian energy as well. It is supposed to be the third decan of Gemini is ultimately Aquarian, and it is co-ruled by Uranus. But it can fry Gemini's brains out quite quickly. But Aquarius never. It can live in any dichotomy for many years, a lot of time. Yeah, the Saturnian quality to it, the endure. Anyway, sorry about this mini astrology or alchemy lesson or archetypal lesson. Where I want to go with this is that, yeah, there is revolution in the air. And individually speaking, well, usually if it's something totally non-material, non-physical, this might play out as emotional shock. Something happens. Something is revealed. This isn't necessarily the Plutonian kind of deep, secret, truth, whatever. Although, because Pluto is in anaretic degrees, that makes it part of the game. So it can be really anything. This is where the Uranian puzzle is way too complex for my little brain to even try and anticipate it. But every other planet points to the fact that anything is possible. At the time of the full moon, Venus holds a square, Venus romantic, exalted, in Pisces, the dream, the fantasy, the illusion, the escapism, square to Mars, in Gemini. Well, logic, rational thinking, down to earth, the concrete perception, points to the fact that the illusion needs to stop, the daydream break, reality strikes one way or another, and what do we do with it? It's not necessarily something bad because it's a reality check moment. It's actually positive because it will not allow the fantasy, the daydream, the escapism or whatever to turn dangerous, to lead astray, to suck us in, to absorb us. It will slap us a little bit. You are in control of the fantasy. There's fantasy and there's real life. So be present also in real life. And this is ultimately positive. What is not so positive is that sometimes it can be under a Leo full moon, salt on wound. A secret coming out, Venus in Pisces, that really hits you hard. About yourself, as in what someone feels about you. What someone, Gemini, says about you. Or what someone was hiding from you. What someone was hiding from themselves. coming out of the closet. But imagine when you're in a relationship and deep talks and discussions in relationships. Uranus, my feelings changed. Overnight, but my feelings changed. Chances are, whatever feelings stir up and secrets come out, or situations change, or something is concocted emotionally, communicationally, information travels, as I said, she said, he said, or Pisces, the distant past, as in someone, well, I have been holding this within me for the past 10 years, but I finally have to tell you. Moments like this, so, and maybe, collectively speaking, this full moon can play out as big revelations, as in someone publicly coming out, or as whatever, not necessarily just sexual, as whatever. Pluto also points to the fact that maybe something, a corruption, a crime, a mismanagement, theft, but on a big, large scale is revealed. In the European Union, here in Europe, obviously, we have a lot of these things, as in what the European Parliament leaders, that Ursula woman, for example, how she money laundered and stuff like that. But this is not my opinion. This is just something I read, and I just, as a Gemini, puke out here as information. So I'm not into this. I don't want to influence anyone. This is just something you can read anywhere on the internet. So I'm just sharing this. It's not like I'm involved in wanting to change anyone's opinion or vision or politics, or it is just something anyone can read. So, but this is how the energy is playing out. It's on the internet, it's public, it's the past, what you've done, and it's accountability, because obviously there is a trial or something like that. And we can see a big moment of this at this full moon, at this Leo full moon. But back to how it might play out individually, well, something happens. Now, another expression of this energy is like falling in or falling out of love. Venus square Mars as well. How does it change the situation? Not necessarily physically, but in your mind. Mars in Gemini, and when your mind is kind of different, options are different, choices are different, mindset is different, priorities are different. Well, let me just give you an example. Imagine when you're deeply in love. How different everything in life is, even though nothing is different. You go into, just another example, in the office, desk is the same, colleagues are everyone is the same, routine is the same, yet you are so different that everything is different, even to you. You notice that perfume of that colleague, which always been there, but you never got to your nose. And you notice it because the chemistry in your brain is different. So yeah, you know what I'm saying. It does make a lot of difference. So this Venus square Mars will influence us emotionally. If it's a disillusionment, even if we have a grip on everything, and even if we're grateful, I am so grateful that I know, at least if this can be said, that it's the truth. Maybe just if I have a perception of this and awareness of this, Uranus, even if it hurts, even if it's salt on wound, even if this and that, but at least I have something, in my mind to give me better judgment of contracts, of my life, of my routines. Is it worth my energy, my time? This can be a person, a job, a relationship, a marriage, a situation, something interior, a psychological healing. This can be a moment when I've done all this healing work and look at me now. I fall back into the same pattern. Well, listen here. Falling back a few steps, you're not on a healing journey if you don't have this. This is part of the deal. This is definitely part of the deal. That's how you know that it's actually true and real and you're doing it and you're in it. Sometimes it does feel like falling back. And let me share with you something that a psychologist friend, really close friend of mine, shared. She said that sometimes an episode, like 2 weeks, a month, maybe even a bit more than that, of deep, deep depression, when you actually feel like your soul is burning, because I don't know, that's how it feels, there's no other way to describe it, is the best thing possible, because that's the last straw. That's the last episode. That's when, if it would be like a physical thing, the pus is gone. The final infection is pushed out of the body. When the bad blood is out. You know what I mean. And I was shocked and surprised and actually did not believe it. I thought to myself, girl, I don't know what they are teaching you at uni, but then she said, because, I've even voiced this, and she said, yeah, she was like that as well. There is a lot of BS at uni, she's admitted as well, but there is also a lot of personal experience. And even she knows this, not just from the theory, but out of personal experience. Because I've been through it myself, because obviously I was the subject then. Yeah. It's true. And when you're in it, you just cannot believe it. Even when someone tells you this, you laugh in a maniacal way, but yeah, it's true. So some people might be experiencing this, a bit of a fallback, because this is when the mind gets that slap that, okay, if you didn't want to let go of the depression by now, well then enjoy it, so much so until you get sick and tired of it, because the soul and the inner emotion and even especially the unconscious, that has no time. The mind, on the other hand, does have the clock ticking. I don't have a watch, but you get what I want to show. Its clock is ticking, and there is oversaturation. Sometimes that's the best cure. When the alcoholic just doesn't want to get it, to give up. The soul gets it, the higher self gets it, even the inner animal finally gets it, but the mind does not want to give up. So then they need an oversaturation episode. Sometimes you need to let someone fall in order for you to pick them up, but for the final time, because that's what they need. It sounds a bit harsh, but sometimes that's what the mind needs, and depression is one of it. Because it's almost like Stockholm syndrome, because someone who was depressed for many, many years already loves it, but in a morbid way, which is unaware, unconsciously. They already have a relationship with it, it's running their lives, it's part of who they are, and when the soul eliminated it after a healing, may that be a psychologist, a cleric, a astrologer, a whatever, but the soul got it. Okay, it got it. But the mind, this is where the mind needs to somehow be pushed out of the being. And, sometimes the depression gets so deep that even the mind oversaturates because it wants something different. It needs something different. So it finally lets it go. And that deep depression moment is the finally letting go. And usually in mysticism, it's associated with the ego death, of course. But going back to this full moon, yep, for some individuals out there, it might even play out as ego death. So this is the square to Uranus, and Taurus is the symbol of the lower ego. Which in Christian mysticism, we have to put onto the altar like the brothers, and we have to burn it. That's the sacrifice, the lower ego. That's why we have to sacrifice a lot of time, pleasures, advantages for the self-sacrifice, sometimes in life be martyrs, willingly even, because all of those gestures are the flames that burn your lower ego to ashes. And that's how basically God, because I repeat, Christian mysticism accepts it and rewards you with the higher ego, the Christ consciousness, a lower, the lowest possible manifestation of the Christ consciousness, when your being is so benevolent that any lower ego can be actually trusted because it's so docile, like the lamb. That is the symbolism of the lamb. And sometimes people do misinterpret it, and the sheep, follow the sheep, follow the herd. While, of course, the irony of it and the bad part of the symbolism is without a doubt absolutely true. But there is the higher octave of the same symbolism where it demonstrates that the sheep is brave enough, not necessarily foolish enough, to accept even demise without even second thinking, because it is so in the divine cycle that its reincarnation or eternity is not like guaranteed, it is lived. The sheep is already in its next life, if you know what I mean, at the moment of the demise. So does it care? Doesn't care. It's eternal. It doesn't care. It's eternally blessed. So it does not know of fear. It does not know of disadvantage. Is it stupid, or is it the way Adam was before, Anyway, the Leo full moon will remind us philosophically and spiritually of all of the symbols I have evoked here. So, there is also the two brothers, where, of course, Cain is the protagonist of the story, because Cain is the symbol of the dark side of Leo. And Leo does have in astrology undoing of the self degree. So yeah, it can be the narcissistic expression, it can be self-centeredness, it can be the aggressive heart, the wild heart, the untamed heart, the lower heart, absolutely. But Uranus, it breaks that. So for a lot of people, it can also come through as an ego death. For example, a relationship, a partner that fueled your ego. If the truth comes out, if the game is revealed, it might be a little bit hurtful, painful, but ultimately that past and all the pleasure that you had out, that the relationship fed your ego, your body, or whatever, that is burning on the altar. So how can you regret? Because you alchemize it into something much deeper. But of course, one needs a certain kind of spiritual maturity to reach this understanding. And at the same time, going back to the beginning of my recording, Pam Gregory, the Tower. The Tower. This is the Tower. This can very, very well be the Tower. In Tarot, the Tower is also the symbol of Mars. Mars is very active and also going forwards on its shadow path. So the Sun and Moon, the T-square with Uranus, that's already shocking enough as it is. But, it's not all that bad because there is also really positive energy in the sky. Venus exalted sextiling Uranus. There is a good side. Whatever happens, look at the good side. Focus on the good side. Place the emphasis on the good side and make that grow. Make that basically Venus in Pisces flood the situation. And there you have it. And there is also a sextile between Mercury and Neptune. Perception. There is advantage in anything and everything. So use that Neptune well. And very quickly, the square between Venus and Mars is nothing bad. You're managing it. You're doing it. It's the friction, the permanent reality check that actually motivates you, determines you to use anything that has to do with fantasy, anything that has to, for example, artists. This is absolutely wonderful. This is such a blessing. Maybe that Leo full moon is your work of art being born in an unexpected way. So another energy which I find quite interesting is that at the time of this full moon, Chiron in the sign of Aries meets Juno. So there is healing in the air, in the sky. There is powerful attractions that play here. Where, regardless if you're the healer or if you're the wounded, where do these attractions take you? This is where, if you're a healer, but not necessarily you're professional, where you're like, you have parental energy, you have caring energy, you have life experience, you have a benevolence, a soul that needs this just comes in your life. It just comes. Age, gender, anything is irrelevant. That when a soul needs your embrace, they will show up in your life. So this is actually quite a positive expression. But the other side of this energy, Juno, who and what did our wounds turn us into? A healer or a greater aggressor? Yeah, this is also, but this will be much more the theme in March when Jupiter meets Chiron. That's the moment of big truth. What did our wounds do for us? Did they make us 10 times worse than our own aggressor? Or did they make us a powerful healer and a person of infinite tolerance? So yeah. Another asteroid or dwarf planet that I would like to speak about is Vesta, an heretic in Pisces, asteroid goddess of the sacred flame. So this will be an intense moment spiritually, pure and intense, and this full moon be a big closure for some people, a big closure, a leap of faith, a risk, but one that it's almost where your house is burning. Of course, you jump out of the window. That will set them maybe free. And, to further help the situation, I would like to offer a tarot guidance for this full moon, because it's gonna be intense for everyone. Falling in and out of love. But then she is not who I thought they would. Third party situations, which turn into different things. Yeah. So yeah, guidance for this full moon. Yeah. So we have the Two of Wands, Eight of Swords, and Six of Pentacles. And the Five of Cups. Okay, now this has a pretty practical element to it. Be careful what you do. Do not commit. Do not give. Do not sign contract. Do not give your life away. Do not start a relationship. Just because it seems so good and finally your dreams have come true. Maybe it's true that your dream has come true, but Eight of Swords. What does this mean? Is it big enough? Are you big enough for your dream? Will it bind you? Will it enslave you? Will it commit you? Will it think of every single consequence and take it easily? Give a sample. Put your little finger in it, not your whole arm. You know what? It's okay to try it. It's okay to keep it as an option, but don't give in to it. Don't sign the contract. If something illusionary comes your way, don't let it disappoint you. Because this can be a relationship, a contract, an opportunity, something. And it's okay. I'm not saying that it's fake, it's real. That it's fake, it's not real, that it's harmful, or, I'm just saying, think it through deeply, because you might not wanna head into it. Maybe the timing isn't right, or maybe you don't have what it takes. So that means you need time. You need to. So take everything as such, especially if it's like a partnership, cooperation, team up. There might be someone coming from the past, a person. This is where don't judge. As in, I'm sure I'll be disappointed again. Or maybe they've changed. Neither of this. Just take a sample. And then we have the Emperor, the Four of Swords reversed, and the Two of Cups reversed. So, when this full moon ends, after this full moon, and after Venus stops breaking up the square with Mars, but I have worse news. Because Mars will very soon rehold the square with Neptune. So, where I'm going with this is, yeah, the final moment when you put the illusion or the false hope or whatever it is that is not truly accomplishable into the bin, and you alchemize it into something. So, where I'm going with this is you are in control and you need to be in control. So be patient. Even if you're hungry for your to live your dream, whatever that is, a relationship, a job, a career, money, relocation, or do it. Don't be hyped up by an illusion. Just do it diligently and slowly. And don't be desperate. If someone comes with flowers or asks you on a date and you don't really feel a strong connection with that person, don't say yes just because there's no one else and you know you'll be alone. If it's not genuine, this time you may not compromise. So, Three of Wands reversed and Queen of Coins. Further clarifier. This is clear what it says. The Tower. Ah! The Tower. If you hurry things up, if you're desperate, it's the Tower. If you are patient and regardless of what this is, an opportunity, a news, a communication, a change of situation, a change of position, if you're patient and truly think it through, the Tower can only be a change that demolishes a prison because you took it diligently. Ten of Swords. Exactly. Something ends for good. The Tower ends up. Yeah, you don't see it coming. Wheel of Fortune. It's what you need. Something bad ends. But it might come as a crisis situation. It comes as a shock, but something bad. It's finally moving on. That's why I'm saying don't act out of desperation. Any other guidance? Five of Wands, Five of Swords. Don't act exactly. Don't hurry. Sit with your thoughts, sit with your choices, sit with your options, sit with your inner conflict, sit with your I don't know what to do, your mental sabotage, and sit with it as much as you need. I wanted to say as long as you need, but I would like rather the card to say just the Hermit. Exactly. Contemplate. Don't be afraid of being solo. Don't sell out cheap. Don't act out of desperation, vengeance, frustration. I had enough. Don't let other people pressure you. Don't let the situation. Maybe there's conflict around you. Maybe, but no. Don't. You will find your place. So yeah, exactly. Change will come. As in, change already came, but this is where clarity will come. As in, for you to exactly healing for the long term. So whatever is coming is healing. So don't act out of panic. Calm yourself down. Act with self-discipline. So thank you everyone for listening. I hope that this was helpful. Thank you for all the love, all the beautiful comments, and I'm wishing everyone a blessed full moon. Until next time, bye for now.